Hi, this is Jo from Math Tutor Me. Today we're looking at the division of surds. Hopefully you're pretty good at simplifying surds and you've probably looked at multiplying surds and adding and subtracting surds. So let's do some division today. We have a rule up the top here that we can change two small surds that are divided into one big surd with the fraction underneath. Let me show you how that works. In our first question here, we can take the 8 and the 2 and we can put them out the front as a fraction. And these two surds I'm going to change to one big surd, 12 over 2, like that. That means that these two can simplify together. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 12 can divide by 2 under here, giving me a square root of 6. And that has simplified that nicely for me, and I can't simplify that anymore. Let's try that again for the second question. 2 root 2 divided by 16 root 10. So let's do the same thing. Let's take the 2 over the 16 out the front. And let's change the 2 under there and the 10, put them underneath one big square root sign. So the 2 over the 16 we can divide by 2, top and bottom, giving me a 1 over 8. And the 2 and the 10 I can divide by 2 as well, giving me a 1 over 5. It's not quite as nice as my last question. So I still have a fraction in there. If that happens, what I want to do is split this back into my two separate surds again. So I'll have the 1 on the top from here, and I'll have a square root of 1, which I know you're going to tell me is 1, but we'll put it there for now. We have the 8, and we have a square root of 5. Now you might not need to write that, but I'm just trying to show you how to split it apart. You might be able to go straight to the final answer, which is the square root of 1 is 1. We times that by this 1, so the top is just a 1. And on the bottom, we have an 8 square root of 5. Okay, let's have a look. I'll just put a little line down here so we don't confuse with that last question. Let's have a look at my next one. Now, I don't have a number on the top for this one, so I can put a 1 there to help me split this apart. I'm going to have a 1 over 2, these numbers here, out the front, and I'm going to change to be one big surd with the 15 on the top and the 6 on the bottom. Now, half is not going to simplify any further, but 15 and 6, I can divide both of those by 3. Giving me a 5 over 2. Then let's split them back apart. So this will be a square root of 5 on the top. It would be multiplied by this 1, but I don't need to write that. Multiplying by 1 doesn't change anything. And on the bottom I have this 2, and I have the square root of 2, breaking this back apart into the two separate surds. And that's my final answer. So that's how you do surds involving division. Here is a few questions now over here. Time for you to have a practice. Here are some steps to help you out. So step number 1, combine the two surds into one. Step 2, simplify all the fractions, both outside surds and inside surds. 3, if there is still a fraction underneath the square root sign, separate it back into the two surds and simplify it all back down so it's all nice and neat again. So here is 2 questions for you to try. Take your pen and paper and pause the video and see how you go. Alright, let's have a look at the answers. So, combine the two surds into one surd, means one big square root sign for this question, 2 over 8. Second step is to simplify the fractions. So this fraction I can divide by 2, which would give me a 1/4. Now I still have fraction, so that means I want to separate it again. Square root of 1/square root of 4. Now both of those can be simplified. The square root of 1 is 1 and the square root of 4 is 2. So this horrible thing here actually becomes a very nice answer, half. Hopefully you got that. Let's try the second question. Do the same steps again. Let's separate our 3/6 out the front so that we can change our 2 surds there into one big giant one. 15/10. Then simplify all the fractions. So 3/6 we can divide by 3 top and bottom, giving us a half. And 15/10 we can divide by 5, giving 3 on the top and a 2 on the bottom. Still have plenty of fractions in there, so let's split this surd back apart, giving me the root 3 on the top to multiply with the 1, which is just root 3. And on the bottom we have a root 2, and we have this 2 which needs to go in the front. And that is the final answer. Alright, so if you have some more questions to practice, keep practicing, and I will see you next time for some more math fun.